Hi y'all, my name is Megan Green, aka Mercurial Megan. I'm an astrologer based out of Gainesville, Florida. I love to look at celebrity charts and focus on pop culture as ways to share basic astrological concepts and a bit more about how transits work within our charts. And there is a hot topic right now that I am kind of interested in and looking at through tarot and through the astro chart. So Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Brother Love, aka Total Asshole, is being sued by his ex-girlfriend Cassie for alleged rape and abuse, and I'm sure many other things. I am clearly not a fan. I've always been kind of creeped out by him. I've never understood his relevancy to the culture. He has always seemed like a sponge and a hanger-on and someone who like took advantage of other people. I am certain that he has done some very nefarious things within the industry, and that this is probably just the beginning of many, many layers being peeled back on this onion. So I am curious to see if there's anything that shows up in the cards. I'd like to pull 3 cards, one for him, one for Cassie, and then just sort of the energy between them. And then I'll also take a look at his natal chart and just see where some transits might be hitting him right now that could be causing some of this activity to be popping off during this time. So I am going to go ahead and pull those 3 cards. He shows up as the 3 of Wands in reverse. The 3 of Cups, in reverse. She shows up as the 3 of Wands in reverse. Oh, this is interesting. And in between them is the Knight of Cups. This makes me feel like there are 3 women who are going to potentially be involved in this suit. Interesting that there's both 3 women on each side. I also think that from his perspective with the Queen, or the 3 of Cups, which is the 3 of Baskets in this deck, that this is just like an emotional or an outpouring of, emotional baggage that's probably going to be coming out. Both of these cards to me represent a lot of gossip, so I have a feeling that these are like things that have been talked about or known for a long time that are going to be kind of coming up. The 3 of Wands for Cassie feels more like a place of empowerment, just because the wands represent fire signs, which is taking more action. But again, it's in the reverse position, so I feel like there's a lot of negativity surrounding it, and it probably will not come without its blowback onto these potential women. And then in between we have the Son of Baskets, which is the Knight of Cups in the traditional deck. This is obviously 2 people in love on a bicycle. It speaks to perhaps like a new emotional beginning or a new romantic relationship or things like that. But in this context, I feel like it is about the relationships that these women have had with him. And sometimes the knights in tarot reflect sort of like an immaturity. So I just think it is like all of the emotional immaturity and love bombing and all of that has been going on is probably going to start coming out into the surface. The 3 women are bugging me out. I want to pull 3 more just to get some clarification, and then we'll go to the charts. I do not like this man's energy at all. I'm pretty vocal about that, but okay. 5 of Coins for him, which would be the 5 of Pentacles. He is counting his money. This is going to hurt the pockets. For her, 8 of Baskets, which is the 8 of Cups. She is walking behind. She is, expressing this distress. She has moved on. As far as I know, I believe she has moved on. I think she's married and doing well. I think she's kind of got positive things going on for her. So this does not seem like something that is money based. For him, it's about money, but for her, it's more about like closure and being able to move on, especially in an emotional sense. I imagine that this is probably something very empowering for her. And then in between them, we have the Three of Knives in reverse. Heartbreak. This is all about heartbreak for her, probably, and for him, emotional manipulation and destruction and toxicity. Let's do three more. For him, Nine of Cups in reverse. For her, Nine of Wands upright. Holy shit. And in the middle, Four of Wands in reverse. Okay, this is the second time we're seeing a doubling up of the same cards from the same suits on the same sides. Like you see here, we have the Three of Baskets meeting the Nine of Baskets. Here we have the Three of Wands meeting the Nine of Wands. And if we can really focus in on this, okay, so look at the Nine of Baskets. This card is... How do I do it? This way? Shit, has this been upside down the entire time? This card is representing, let me do it this way and then I'll just flip it, I guess. No. This card is representing, that previous life of luxury that they were leading. And you can see, I love this card because I feel like the emotional baggage is showing up truly as baggage, and they're each kind of bringing it to the table, and it does kind of feel like the male figure there is kind of wooing the feminine figure, and she's kind of stepping into that prestige. But this was in the reversed position, so it doesn't feel positive. This feels like toxic materialism. This feels like a toxic lifestyle, again, probably very emotionally manipulative, specifically around like resources and fame and like, what can I do for you? And this is the lifestyle that I can provide for you. Now for her, we have this Nine of Wands, and hers is upright. She, his was reversed, but hers is upright. Look at all of these people. We're going to be hearing more. There's a lot of people behind her. There's a lot of people supporting her. I have a feeling that Cassie is well loved and respected throughout the community. And I feel like now that she's stepping out, we're going to really hear some things about this man. And then in between is the Four of Wands. Now, in the, I love that card. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, this is depicted as two wands on each side, so four total, underneath a garland, and two people are in the middle, married, having a celebration. In this version of the card, and I'll turn it upright first. In this version of the card, we have a couple standing between, I guess it would be two beams, and he is sort of supporting her. I'd say they're probably doing some sort of couples yoga, but it's really requiring a sense of balance and support and, a strengthening of a bond. And I would say that that's pretty clear in both sets of images. Now, if we look at what this looks like upright, and then we go ahead and turn this in reverse as it has been, pulled. This looks to me, first of all, the man is now in a more vulnerable position, where before he was kind of being strengthened and really creating the support. Now he is sort of being pulled down, and she is kind of elevating or holding this together. This feels like a success for her and potentially his downfall. I think that is pretty good as far as the card pulling. And you can say that I'm biased. I absolutely am biased. I don't like this man. But the cards don't lie. You can look at the images and, decide for yourself if the way that I described them was not accurate. But I think, God, especially this card is so powerful. And then again, if we just strip these back, like let's just go to that Three of Wands and that Nine of Wands. this 9 of baskets and this 3 of baskets. Like, I cannot get over the double feature that we have there. Okay, enough of that. Let me go ahead and pull up his chart. Okay, so I do not have, oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on. So the bottom of my deck, the 10 of coins, which is the 10 of pentacles. Diddy is known for having a large family that he financially supports. He is known for building this empire. He has a lot of kids. I feel like they're going to be the ones who have to hold the weight of this deck. As soon as when I looked down and saw the bottom of the deck, I couldn't resist sharing that. That's interesting. And I think he has like a young daughter. I know he has twin daughters, and I know he has multiple sons. So, okay. My mom always told me everything done in the dark will come out into the light. I did not believe her for the longest time, and then the real life showed me that that was true, and then I wait in instances like this to see, like, when will this person get their reckoning? It always happens. You never get away with anything, even if you feel like you do. Okay, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and get to his chart. So we do not have a birth time for him, shucks. But we do have his chart without the houses kind of defined. So he is a Scorpio, he is a Libra, and he has a Virgo moon. He also has Saturn in Taurus. Now let me just lay out let me pull this because I think this will be helpful. Very simple transit information. We know that right now the sun is in Taurus, or is in Scorpio. We know that we just had a new moon in Scorpio. We know that Mars is in Scorpio sitting opposite Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus is in Taurus right now, co-present with Jupiter. We also know that Saturn is sitting at 0 degrees Pisces, which is opposite Virgo, where his moon is. We also know that we are having eclipse cycles through Aries and Libra, hitting his Libra. This man is getting lambasted throughout his entire chart. We also have Pluto about to enter Aquarius, and his Mars is in Aquarius. I'm getting so hyped up thinking about how much this astrology is hitting. Give me a second. I need to pull up his chart with transits. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I think I got it set up. So I hope that this is clear. We are going to see what we can do. So this is Sean Combs' chart with the on the inside with the transits on the outside. Again, I do not know the birth time, so what I tend to do in those situations is put the sun in the first house, which already sort of symbolizes individual, like the individual or the vitality or the source of the person in that first house place, just to make it a little bit easier for us to read. And it probably will read a little bit more accurately than a chart that was set for a different time. So again, first things I noticed, we are having a major Scorpio transit. We have the sun and Mars sitting right on his Neptune and ascendant. In the first house, he is also a Scorpio sun and Mercury. That sun Mars is already a volatile combination sitting right on the ascendant. It's bringing all of that energy and attention onto him personally. Now, again, we know that this is probably not his accurate ascendant, but for the sake of what I'm looking at, okay. It's also on that Neptune. So Neptune is, and I've said this probably many times, the planet of deception or fog or not seeing things clearly. So I think that sun and that Mars is really dissipating a lot of that mist and bringing some of the things that have been lurking behind the scenes out to the focus. Again, even if this is not his ascendant and we're just talking about the fact that Neptune is right there with the sun, I feel like that would still apply. It is also sitting directly opposite Taurus, where we have transit Uranus and Jupiter sitting right kind of close to his Saturn. So again, Saturn is the planet of discipline and restrictions. Jupiter expands anything that it touches. Uranus brings things out of nowhere. It's sudden shakeups and surprises, and it's happening in the sign of Taurus, which is a fixed sign. So things that are in Taurus placements tend to not, or in the sign of Taurus, tend to not really budge or change. They tend to be pretty stuck in a lot of ways. So I think this could be speaking to some of the karma or power or authority, specifically because it's Saturn we're talking about, that has maybe gone unchecked for a while. And as Uranus is coming through there, it is rattling what has been set in stone. And then, of course, Jupiter's presence is just blowing that energy up. Now, again, I don't know if this really does fall in his 7th house, but if it did, it would speak to other people in his life kind of coming out of nowhere and possibly creating some problems or, needing the need to learn some lessons. And again, even if it's not his 7th house, it's still sitting opposite his sun, which does represent him. So again, I still feel like that rings true. We also have down here in Capricorn, we have Pluto dancing right on top of his Mars. And Pluto is going to continue to move through there. And that is going to bring a lot of conflict into his life. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. It is oftentimes, I think about it, associated with the Tower card or the Death card in terms of like big dramatic endings and needs for transformation, whether it be forced or voluntary. So that feels big to me. In the previous chart, it looked like that Mars might have been in Aquarius, but it's not. It's still in the sign of Capricorn. And because it's at 29 degrees, it is that final breath, that last action of a planet. And again, 29 degrees is like the last. So he's probably been getting away with things for a long time. But when that Mars gets hit, it is going to be hit. It's going to be the collection of all of those things from 0 to 29 degrees that have been happening. So Pluto is right on that Mars. That's a volatile combination. I would not want a Pluto conjunct Mars transit, specifically in Capricorn. So Mars really loves to be in Capricorn. It tends to make these people very hardworking, very successful, very goal-oriented, very driven, success-minded, really interested in, gaining recognition or accolades or meeting goals. And I would say that that's probably been extremely helpful for him in terms of building an entertainment empire. But now Pluto is going to let it down. Pluto will be in the sign of Capricorn until January. So I'm super curious to watch this transit and see how the next couple of months unfold as it makes that transition. We also have a couple of things in the chart, but I just kind of want to focus on the things that are the most obvious to me. So also we have some things going on in Libra. He has his natal Uranus, the planet of sudden shakeups and surprises, the natal Jupiter, the planet of expansion and blessings, and the natal Venus, what you attract, how you attract it, feminine energy in your life, things of that nature. In the sign of Libra, let me make sure I've got this. Okay. In the sign of Libra, sign of partnership. So this is interesting. So look at this Jupiter-Uranus pattern. Look at this Jupiter-Uranus pattern. This is ruled by Venus. This is ruled by Venus. Even though they don't really make aspects to each other, this is a very similar pattern being echoed here. The South Node and the North Node are going to be in Taurus, or are going to be in Aries and Libra, bringing eclipse cycles through these two houses for the next 18 months or so. The South Node is in Libra. The South Node is a that just sort of sucks away a lot of energy. And it's a place of inertia that's oftentimes we get stuck, or it's sort of like a past life karmic placement as well. So the way that I read this with this triple Venus feminine narrative going on, meeting this South Node, like the past is coming back to haunt you. The past is coming. And again, I don't know if he's a Scorpio rising, but let's say he is, and Libra's in the 12th house. That's everything you've shoved in the closet. That's all of the skeletons that you've arranged there. Coming out to be purged, to be, a lot of the times the South Node is considered like the tail of the dragon, to be excreted. These things are coming out to be released and let go, and it's probably not going to be super comfortable for him. The North Node is paired with Chiron. Chiron is about wounding and just, you know, the pain that we carry that we need to heal and transmute. It's happening in the sign of Aries. This feels to me like the women sort of taking a stand and putting themselves out there to be pioneering and brave and to, you know, heal some of those wounds and to do things that probably are very scary for a lot of people in the industry to do. There have been whispers about this man for decades and no one has ever spoken up. People are talking now. One person took a stand. Do not be surprised if after that we start getting this. Like, come on now. I also just want to note that we have transit Juno sitting on his moon and South Node and Pluto. So again, this is partnership. This is emotions. Virgo moons can be very cold, can be very critical, can be very picky, can be very meticulous. I would not be surprised if the reason why this didn't happen sooner is because he's really good at covering his tracks and kind of cleaning up the mess. But then he's got this South Node again, which is about, you know, the release, the things that keep you stuck. Moon South Node combination is sort of like an emotional, he probably never feels, you know, on a low end, he probably never really feels satisfied. And I would not be surprised if there are some very complicated mother connections there that have, you know, fueled some of this problem. And again, tied in with that Pluto so closely, it's just amplifying everything. It's making it a little bit more intense, a little bit more about power dynamics. And that transit Juno is there demanding equality within partnership, saying, nope, this is not fair. I will not stand for this. It's time to sort of, you know, to deal with these things. It's crazy how much is popping off in the chart. And then sitting opposite all of this is Saturn in Pisces at 0 degrees. So this is the very beginning of a Saturn journey in the sign of Pisces. And then Saturn sitting opposite his moon. A lot of restrictions, probably a lot of emotional challenges. This man is getting the hammer dropped on him. I don't think he will be able to escape this one. Yeah. I don't know. I will be very curious to watch this unfold. I hope that this was helpful. I know there's like so many more things that I'm looking at in the chart, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I am kind of interested to see how things lay out, but I really would not be surprised if we see multiple people, and if not specifically 3 women, kind of banding together and speaking out. I've mentioned this before, but I am really an advocate for healthy relationship dynamics and talking about abuse within relationships and the complexities involved in them. So this is just another example of that, and it seems to be a bit of a theme right now in the skies astrologically, and I think that has a lot to do with these Aries and Libra eclipses that we are going to be having. The nodes are not playing. They are shaking up relationship dynamics, and then of course square to Pluto in Capricorn, tearing down patriarchal dynamics and old toxic traditions and moving into Aquarius, where it's going to be more about the people and equality. You're going to see more things like this happen. So I hope that this was helpful. I still maintain that I don't like this man, but all of that aside, I think the sky kind of speaks for itself. So bye, y'all.